Hello there everyone, it's me Harry, and this is the last part of my GameCube collection video. So this part is going to form up the games from 2004 all the way up until 2006. And such, let's begin. So we're going to start off with 2004. And here is Looney Tunes Back in Action. Developed by Warthog Games and published by Electronic Arts, released on January the 30th, 2004. Here's the back. The difference between this version and the PS2 version is that the PS2 version has some video-based content, which is not on this version because of the little GameCube discs not having as much space as a DVD. There we are. But you'd prefer to have, like, the game anyway, so there you go. Next up is the Powerpuff Girls Relish Rampage Pickled Edition, released on February the 6th, 2004. Here we are. Developed by Fizz Entertainment, published by BAM Entertainment, distributed by Acclaim. So this is an enhanced port of the PS2 version, with some new missions and extra gameplay features. Nice pink Powerpuff Girls disc. Very fitting indeed. Released on the same day is Sonic Heroes, the very first new Sonic game released for a non-Sega platform. And it says all new Sonic, whilst the PS2 and Xbox versions say that it's Sonic's debut on the systems. Because up until then, Sonic games were only on the GameCube and the Game Boy Advance after Sega became third party. There's the disc. And the manual. And the manual has an ad for Worms 3D. Released on the 2nd of April 2004 is Mission Impossible Operation Surma. And while it did come out after the PlayStation 2 and Xbox versions, it's pretty much the same game, so nothing much to say about that. Developed by Paradigm Entertainment, published by Atari. Released on the 18th of June 2004 is Asterix and Obelix XXL. Developed by Interlibrids, however you pronounce their name, and published by Atari. So this is sort of like an enhanced version of the PS2 version, but it's, I think, the original version of the game, even though it came out later and wasn't released in North America, because it's much more powerful. And surprisingly enough, for an Atari title, there is an advert on the back for Asterix and Obelix XXL's Game Boy Advance port, which is a very impressive title for GBA standards, done by VD Dev, who did most of the Atari's and Game Boy Advance titles at the time. Samurai Jack: The Shadow of Aku. So, here we are. That was released on 25th of June 2004, developed by Iridium Amaze Entertainment and published by Sega. It's based on, obviously, the Cartoon Network show of the same name. Next up is WarioWare Inc. Mega Party Games, the GameCube version of the Game Boy Advance classic WarioWare Inc. Minigame Mania. Released on the 3rd of September 2004, developed by Intelligent Systems and published by Nintendo. Bright blue disc, but the packaging is yellow. A very yellow kind indeed. WWE Day of Reckoning, developed by Ukes and published by THQ, and released on the 17th of September 2004. It's the third game in the third GameCube WWE game, and it's also part of the Day of Reckoning duology, as there was a sequel that came out the following year, which I'll show you later on. And the back has an ad for WWE Survivor Series, the Game Boy Advance game. So, yeah. Released on the 24th of September 2004 is Terminator 3 The Redemption, developed by Paradigm Entertainment and published by Atari. So yeah, Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines was skipped on the system because of time limitations. But this game was, and I think it was Atari's last game that they'd released, that they published themselves. Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2 had a GameCube release in 2005, but obviously they only distributed that and Bandai published it. But there were a few other titles that came out in the States a little while later, so it wasn't entirely the last. The original Donkey Konga. So this version was the one that comes with the DK bongos. It says not to be sold separately. This came out on the 15th of October 2004, developed by Namco, published by Nintendo. I don't have the sequel to this, but I do have this one. Its song list depends on the region as well, so it's not entirely like the same for all countries because of the different tastes in like music. And there's also like a little Donkey Konga sticker as well, I believe, because if you shine it to the light, you can see a little bit of an outline on the VIP 24/7 thing, which later became Club Nintendo Europe. Power Rangers Dino Thunder, released on the 26th of November 2004, developed by Pacific Coast Power and Light and published by THQ. This was one of the few Power Rangers games they'd released at the time. It was one of their last ones. SPD on the Game Boy Advance was the last one they'd released altogether. And then the rights went back to Disney. But I do like the blue disc. It's very fitting because it is a Buena Vista Interactive title after all. Spyro A Hero's Tale, developed by Eurocom and published by Vivendi Universal Games, and under the Sierra banner, and was released on 26th of November 2004. I do believe the PS2 and the Xbox versions had different release dates as well. And there's a bright orange disc with the same font that is on other GameCube games from Vivendi Universal. But yeah, Crash Twin Sanity, on the other hand, did not have a GameCube version because of its very bad rush job due to it being the rush job it was. And on the back there's an ad for Crash Bandicoot Fusion and Spyro Fusion. So Crash Bandicoot Purple and Spyro Orange, I think they were in North America. And now we're on to 2005. And the first one I actually do have, which I don't have the packaging for, is Neighbours from Hell. Developed and published by Joe Wood Productions and released on February the 4th of March 2005. I don't have the packaging for that, so I don't have anything else to show for that one. Robots, a game based on the 20th Century Fox film of the same name. Developed by Eurocom, published by Vivendi Universal Games under the Sierra banner, released on 11th of March 2005. Here we are. And the back has an ad for the Ice Age Extreme Cool Edition DVD. Winnie the Pooh's Rumbly Tumbly Adventure, which is the spiritual successor to Piglet's Big Game. Developed by Phoenix Studio and published by Ubisoft. Released on the same day, the 11th of March 2005. Here's the disc and the manual. Cow the Kangaroo Round 2, developed by Tate Interactive and published by Joe Wood Productions. Released on the 15th of April 2005. This is the second entry in the Cow the Kangaroo franchise. Nice bright green disc for this one. I'll be honest with you. The front insert's not in very good condition. It does seem like it was water damaged, but the rest of it's okay, I guess. WWE Day of Reckoning 2, developed by Ukes and published by THQ, released on the 23rd of September 2005. The last WWE game for the GameCube, and the sequel to the original Day of Reckoning, that takes with the story mode that takes place after the first one left off. And this time there's no advertisements on the back, unlike the other THQ titles. Sonic Gems Collection, released on the 30th of September 2005. Developed by Sonic Team and published by Sega. Very interestingly enough, while this did have a PS2 release, the PS2 version wasn't released in North America, only the GameCube version was for some reason. I don't know why, but there you go. And the back has an advertisement for Sonic Rush for the DS. And now we're on to 2006. Although this game is sort of like a 2005 and 2006 title because of when it was released. And that's Chicken Little. Yeah, Chicken Little, developed by Avalanche Software and published by Buena Vista Games. It was initially released in November of 2005 in some countries that gained the film around then, but in the UK, it didn't come out until February the 10th, 2006, which was when the film came out in cinemas in the UK. And I think it came out on the same day in a couple of other countries as well. Because normally it seemed like Disney were much preferring to time the game with its theatrical release, so there you go. There's no advertisements on the back though. But a nice bright red disc. Next up is another 20th Century Fox tie-in, Ice Age 2 The Meltdown. Developed once again by Eurocom and published by Vivendi Universal Games under the Sierra banner. Released on March the 31st, 2006. I don't know what the difference is between this and the other versions. Well, the Wii version has some extra content in it, but there you go. Pac-Man World 3, developed by Blitz Games and published by Namco and Electronic Arts, released on June the 23rd, 2006. The interesting thing about this title was that it actually came out on the PS2 and the Xbox a month prior, at the beginning of May, but the GameCube version didn't come out until near the end of June. I always wonder why. Maybe Electronic Arts was having issues or something with the GameCube. I don't know, because Namco Museum 50th Anniversary had a late release for the GameCube as well. Although the packaging on this doesn't imply that it is an EA published game, only the inside of the manual does again. It just says on the back, Namco Limited, even though this was released after the merger. Yeah, and even the packaging doesn't mention Electronic Arts. It was like they were just a silent publisher and distributor for the game. And speaking of Electronic Arts, here is The Sims 2 Pets, developed by Maxis, published by Electronic Arts, and released on the 20th of October 2006. It's got some minor, limitations of, it's got some little minor limitations to the PS2 version, because of the space on the GameCube discs, but it's interesting this didn't have an Xbox or an Xbox 360 version. But yeah, it's just a console version of The Sims 2 Pets, which was an expansion pack for the original PC game. And last but not least is SpongeBob SquarePants Creature from the Krusty Krab, developed by Blitz Games and published by THQ, released on the 10th of November 2006. It's very similar to the PS2 version, but there is some missing touches and things because of the GameCube's mini discs again. This was obviously a very late release for the system. There's the manual, and there's the disc. A nice blue and green combination. I really do like that. And there's nothing on the back of the manual. It's just information about THQ. But anyways, that's the end of my GameCube collection videos. Hope you enjoyed watching all three parts. and hopefully I'll make another video game collection video very soon. So, as I always say, thanks for watching, and bye for now.